The Jazz have the 30th pick, and many want to know exactly what the Utah Jazz will do with that pick. The common theory is you're not going to get somebody that's a difference maker at 30. I would agree with that. So can you package that pick with Derrick Favors and unload his 2-year, $20 million deal, 19 to be specific, and try to find some cap space? Should you trade other assets? Should you trade players? Should you trade Jingles? Should you trade Bojan Bogdanovic? What about the not defensive wizard in Royce O'Neal?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. And if I'm the Utah Jazz, Jake, I'm trying to trade that pick with Derrick Favors to create cap space.
Yeah, I think that's the pragmatic decision. I think that, being that you're picking 30th, you don't have anybody that you would get in that slot is somebody that, you are going to have to develop. A name that's been floating around is Quentin Grimes. He's a nice little player, but, at the end of the day, anybody you get there, you're going to have to develop. And I don't know, mentality-wise, that this organization really has that mindset. I think we've talked at length about how a lot of the organizations in the West have developed their own guys. I mean, obviously the Suns and the Warriors are kind of leading the way on that, but at the end of the day, that really is the blueprint for success. So I think the problem is that the Jazz really aren't even in a position to just stand pat and draft at 30 because of the cap situation. So I tend to agree. I do think the reason that we haven't heard any rumblings about them in free agency is because I think that their focus is getting some flexibility in their cap, and then depending on what they're able to get done in the draft in terms of cap space, then they're going to start to kind of explore the market, see what they could get done. So that path makes sense to me. I do hope that Ryan Smith and company are very aggressive. I do hope that they work hard to get good value back for that 30th pick and Derrick Favors. Like I don't want them to do the deal just for like an average value back. I'm not saying that they got to go ahead and try to get a top 10 pick or something or anything like that. I just think overall you just don't want to make mistake after mistake after mistake, I guess is what I'm getting at here. It's very important that when you make these kind of deals that you know what you're going to do, with what you're getting back. And I hope that what they get back allows them to do something productive.
Yeah, and I think that when you talk about being productive, I think the most important part of this conversation very clearly is the Utah Jazz have to create cap space. It's pretty clear. Whether we agree with it or not, there's no doubt that the Utah Jazz want to retain Mike Conley. And I think we know now, based on the point guard market, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but I think we know now that the point guard market is going to be very expensive. You're going to be in the mid-20s per season to get any of the top-tier point guards, and that includes Mike Conley. And that's probably the minimum that you're going to wind up spending. And the guy that's probably going to really determine what the Jazz do is likely a guy like a Lonzo Ball, a Kyle Lowry. If Kyle Lowry truly ends up in a sign and trade with Philadelphia and he signs for 25 to 30 million per season, the Utah Jazz are in real trouble. And I just don't know how you justify, Jake, paying a guy in Mike Conley who's constantly injured and has missed really critical games over the last 2 years. I don't know how you justify paying him $25 to $30 million per season, because it feels like that's where the market's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's no question that's where the market's going to be. And I think that, again, I know for those of you who listen every single day, this conversation is probably a little bit repetitive, but when I think we kind of put it in the spotlight of the draft, you start to understand why these decisions on Conley and some of these other players on your roster are so damn important. I mean, think about it. If let's say they don't trade and they just draft with the 30th pick, and they re-sign Mike Conley. Well, what have you just done? You've basically strangled your cap even more, right? You're paying more luxury tax because you re-sign Mike Conley for the money that he wanted, and you just picked up another player that you're likely not going to develop. And I don't mean that in a way of like me hating on the Jazz, but I think we could all agree their track record says that they don't really develop a lot of their players. I mean, Don has turned into a nice player, but Rudy hasn't really developed all that much, in my opinion. He's always been a great defensive player, but we don't really have a lot of offensive development there.
But,
So,
well, okay, so you clarified that. I think Rudy Gobert has developed a lot. I think he has shown almost no development offensively. I think when you're an 8 to 10 foot tall guy, I joke, when you're a 7-footer, you should be able to dunk. And if you can't, you're probably not in the NBA. His development has been defensively. His development has been, mentally. But I would agree with you that offensively he has not developed. So are you considering, is he a hindrance?
I just think, yeah, I mean, and you could paint the picture that way. I think that Rudy Gobert is a player that is not the most flexible of players on your roster. He basically has one purpose, and that's to play defense. That's what he does. And I think that being that he doesn't have an offensive game, that he doesn't really, he can't go and get his own like some of these other guys that we talk about so often, like the Jokers and the Embiids and the Karl Anthony Towns and all that. Being that he can't do that, I think for the Utah Jazz, you have to prioritize more flexibility on offense. I mean, that's really what hurt them in these playoffs. Sure, everyone's going to point to, the Terrence Mann, Rudy Gobert situation that ended their season essentially, but that's not why that was a problem, right? That was only a problem because the Jazz couldn't keep up scoring. One, because of injury, but two, because you didn't have the flexibility in terms of the players that were on the floor. So I just think overall with the draft, to bring this home, like with the draft, if you're going to make trades and you're going to make moves to, try to gain some flexibility in your cap by dumping the Favors contract, I would hope that you would do that with the goal of trying to get either, again, someone who can play more flexible offense or who can bring you really elite perimeter defense. You have to have one of those two. You cannot have a situation where you have neither of those and you're trying to be a championship caliber team, because at that point you're just not a championship caliber team.
Don't you mean neither of those things? Anyway, my point is, listen, I think it's interesting you go back to the Terrence Mann thing with the Clippers in that game, because I do think that's the moment that may win the Jazz 3 rings in 10 years. May. Because they're capable of that. And I know I've said that, and I know that Twitter was all abuzz with the fact that I said that yesterday, but if the Jazz are smart in this free agent draft window, I do think that the Jazz have an opportunity here to absolutely put themselves with the Phoenix Suns, with the LA Lakers. I think there's no question that the Utah Jazz have the opportunity to remake their cap and compete in the middle of the Western Conference. If you come back intact, largely intact, Mike Conley or not, you're going to be mediocre because Conley's going to play 35, 45 games, and you're going to ask Donovan Mitchell to carry this team, period. That's what you're doing. Let's not forget that you have the Gobert contract on the books. Donovan Mitchell's contract's coming on. You're handicapped in that you're going to pay Mike Conley a lot of money, or maybe you just shouldn't. And I'll continue to say that. Paying Mike Conley a lot of money lessens your likelihood to win a championship. It really is that simple. So what they do tomorrow night and what they do leading up to the draft and their decision to trade or keep the 30th pick, I don't think it's much of a decision. I think you need to trade it because you need to offload that talent. The right thing to do here for the Utah Jazz, trade the 30th pick and one of those players to get yourself salary relief. Do not bring somebody back. Do not do a buyout. Trade the pick with a player and gain yourself some salary cap relief. To me, that seems like the obvious pragmatic move here.
Yeah, I would agree, but I think that move doesn't really do anything for you unless you let Conley go away, right? Unless you let him walk. Because think about it. I mean, Favors' contract is one that you'd really like to offload, mainly because he's pretty much done. I mean, he can still give, a lower-end team some minutes and things. He can still be that kind of guy. But for your purposes as a championship club, he's done. You need to move on from Favors. So my point here is that let's say that they do make the trade, but they re-sign Mike Conley. What did you really do? You wasted your time because you're just you dumped Favors' deal, but you just brought Conley's money back onto the books. So that's why I say you can't have that situation can't happen where you get rid of Favors, you trade down in the draft, and then you re-sign Conley. That doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. So that's why I say we can't forget that we're in this whole narrative about how the Jazz have a new owner and we're in a new time and they got rid of Dennis Lindsey and you know the mentality's changed. Well, let's see if it's actually changed or not. Because again, I don't like to give teams slack, and I think the Jazz get a lot of slack in this town. If they just do the same thing that they've been doing the last 10 years, nothing's going to change. And so that's why I think this draft not only is important for their cap, but I also think it's important for the perception of who Ryan Smith is and what the deal actually is going to be in his ownership time.
Well, and I think the other conversation is who are you truly trying to trade? My personal belief is I just think that there's a lot of smoke out there, and I don't think there's a lot of fire behind it. I think the Jazz are not going to make a foundational deal. It's just my opinion. I think the guy that likely gets traded is Jordan Clarkson and hopefully Derrick Favors. I don't think that you're going to trade any of your core pieces. I really don't. I think there's value in Jordan Clarkson around the league. I think if you end up moving a guy like – I don't view Royce O'Neal as a core player here. I don't view him as a significant player in Utah. Yeah. I don't view Royce O'Neal as somebody that you have to keep or, is he important? Sure. Is he going to get you the odd rebound? Yes. Does he play good defense? He plays average defense. There's this belief system that, Royce O'Neal's an elite on-ball defender. He's not. And I'm telling you, the guys that are expendable on this roster – I look at Derrick Favors. I look at a guy like a Jordan Clarkson, Royce O'Neal, any of the young guys. Certainly, you would think that guys like the Onis of the world, the Forests of the world, depending on what happens with his deal, like those are the guys that are expendable. Quinn's not going to play a rookie. Yeah. So drafting at that 30th spot doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you can leverage it. Guys that have value on this roster, the Bogdanovic of the world. I don't think Joe Ingles has a whole lot of value. I think we're seeing again in the Olympics that Joe should have taken the summer off because he looks tired. He looks slow to me. And I'm not saying that Joe Ingles has ever been a lightning fast player, but this is an ineffective Joe Ingles. This is a guy that you don't have to account for. This version of Joe Ingles is not going to kill you. Yeah. If he gives you 10, 12 points, are you really getting value out of him? I could make the argument that he's not. And if Joe Ingles is going to be here for $13 million, he's going to in my opinion, he's going to wind up playing the Derrick Favors role. Give the guy a few minutes a night, 20 minutes a night, and figure it out.
Yeah.
He's going to have games where he scores 30 because he isn't going to miss from three. Okay, I'm good with that. Joe Ingles is a glue guy, great in the locker room. Donovan and he are close. All right, I'm good with him being here.
Yeah.
It's $13 million. I'm good with it. Right? I want Bojan Bogdanovic to stay as long as other guys go. If Jordan Clarkson's here, and again, this is probably too deep, but if Jordan Clarkson's here, I don't see that Bojan Bogdanovic's value is what it could be. If Jordan Clarkson's not here, Bojan Bogdanovic has a lot of value on this roster.
Yeah, I think the way that we can frame this with a question for Jazz fans is just simply, who are the core players that you want to play next season with, and who do you want to put around them in a developmental sense? Who are the younger guys that you want to put your time into, to try to make them better, and then who are the guys that are going to get the lion's share of the minutes? So obviously, it goes without saying that Don and Rudy are your two building blocks. And then, I would love to see Bogey here. The problem is, the issue is that he's one of the few guys on this roster who is not on a big deal or a long-term deal and definitely has trade value. That's the tough part about the league and where the Jazz are at. I mean, again, I think we can all agree that Bogey did a great job contributing this season. Yes, there was some inconsistencies shooting, but other than that, he was definitely a big-time contributor for this team. And that's the tough part. That builds trade value in the offseason. So we'll see. My opinion is I would go Bogey, Don, and Rudy if I could. And to your point, I agree with you. yeah, guys like Jordan Clarkson. There's no doubt that Jordan Clarkson has a lot of trade value in the league. This is the sixth man of the year, dude. I mean, this is somebody that you could move and get some serious value back for. So Clarkson, Favors. I'm not. I'm not on the keep Joe Ingles bandwagon. If it's convenient and yeah, it's for $13 million, sure. But if he needs to be in a package, I'm definitely moving him.
Yeah, and I just think that you have so much more flexibility going forward. And it's what keeps you competitive. It's why the Lakers, the Celtics, even the Clippers, the Knicks, the teams that are in big markets have an advantage because they can afford to pay the luxury tax. The Warriors,
yeah,
the Jazz, the Spurs, the Blazers, teams in those smaller markets. Memphis comes to mind. Orlando comes to mind. You can't afford to pay the luxury tax. And just looking at what you have committed to the 2022-2023 season, you look at Donovan Mitchell coming up to $30 million. Rudy's going to be $38 million. Next year, Bogey's $19.5 million. I mean, that's really where you're at. I mean, because I would think no matter what, Derrick Favors won't be on this team. Yeah. Royce O'Neal's not worth $9.2 million. I mean, I think you just at some point have to make the decision to move on. And I think that starts tonight, tomorrow night. The next, I would say, 36 hours are critical for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of moving season. And if you're the Jazz, I would love to see you trade that 30th pick and Derrick Favors to begin a retool of your roster.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see. Now, does that happen? I don't know. Probably not.
And I think these first moves.
Stop the show.
Oh boy,
Growcock is back.
What?
Corey Growcock is alive.
Growcock sighting. Uh oh.
Growcock, I don't think you understand. You get talked about on this show pretty much every day.
Yeah.
He says, "Hey fellas, sorry I haven't been watching. Just very late in Australia."
Growcock, excuses, bro. Your name means that you have to be here.
I mean, listen, and let's. I don't even know. Hey Siri, what time is it in Australia?
Oh, it's Joe Ingles' time.
Let's see what she says.
Hello.
In Canberra, Australia, it's 11:08 p.m.
It's only 11 o'clock at night, man.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Are you kidding me? Cocks come out at night.
Yeah.
He says, "Hey fellas, sorry I haven't been watching. Very late in Australia. Good to see you, my friend. You are a legend on this show, and I think this is only like your third appearance ever." James Knight says, "Jingles and Bojan to Portland for McCallum, which then makes me a Blazers fan." See, this CJ McCallum reference and rumor has been around for a long time. If you're the Utah Jazz, are you trading Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic to the Blazers for CJ McCallum? I mean, there's value in that.
There's risk in that, though.
But think about that on both sides. That trade doesn't make a lot of sense, to me anyway. Tanner Plummer says, yesterday the Jazz YouTube channel put out a video of Gobert's top plays.
Yes. One
of the plays was him making a standard jump shot near the free throw line. I laughed out loud when I saw that because he never does that in games.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Casey Finlinson says, 3 days finishing with no cell or Wi-Fi is good for the soul. Good to be back with you guys. Wow, I bet that was a cleanse.
Yeah, wait, so was that a choice, or were you
3 days fishing with no cell?
Oh, fishing.
Yeah,
Got it.
I said finishing. Fishing with no cell or Wi-Fi. Man, that would be amazing. He also says, and just in time for fall football to get running.
Let's go.
Right. Jeremy Bolton says, wait. Growcock, you're back?
Yep.
And all we get is an apology. Correct. Brylark says, Growcock, so good to see you. We can finally call off the search and rescue team. Yeah, the Growcock, I don't think you understand that, we have tried to deploy James Knight, although James won't leave the house ever. There are rumors that James Knight is duct taped to a Lazy Boy recliner.
Who does that?
Yeah, I don't know. That smells like 10-year-old sweat bombs. James wouldn't leave the house to check on your safety and sanity. Sorry, bud. We tried to send somebody. That is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But thanks for being back.
Yeah, good to see you, Growcock. Yeah. When are you giving away the Xbox?
Yeah, did we cross the line yet? Wait, did Growcock ask that?
Growcock. No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
We did. Although we should just by default. I don't know if everybody's on board with this, and maybe some are, and maybe some are not. I think by default we should probably just give the Xbox Series S to Grokok.
I think we need to know first if Grokok is actually a gamer or not. I mean, if this guy's saying he's got to get to bed by 11, which, by the way, I appreciate as someone who gets up at 4:45 every day.
Yeah.
I get the grind.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I
What
think
time do you actually get out of bed?
like 4:50.
Yeah. Me too.
4:45 is just a face slap every morning. I mean, the alarm goes off, and you're like, damn, dude, already?
Dude,
Come on.
I was up. I slept really well last night. I went to bed around 10:30 after FaceTiming you and reading a dad joke and then hanging up on you, which I enjoy quite a bit. But that's just me. I slept until 1:12 when I had to take a conference call with Late Night P Guy. And then I woke up at 4:43, and I was like, damn, I needed those 2 minutes. Because my alarm goes off at 4:45 every day. And it is, it is a slap in the face. Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Richard Wingett? Resign Mike Ingles to L.A. for Kuz in the 22nd pick. Yeah, the Lakers will trade Kyle Kuzma to the Jazz. That seems likely. Trade 30 in Faves for cap relief. I think you're wrong to let Mike Conley go. Okay. Dane Cowan says, just sent the pick, and I'm even down to let Grokok take it. Just sounds legendary. I agree. James Knight says, unlike you, Monty, who has his hands on his smoker all the time.
Hey.
Okay, is that a reference to my man parts or to the actual Traeger? Because, no, I'm not. No.
I hit dingers.
No, I'm not doing it. I love you, James Knight. See, that's why James is so valuable to the show. How much value is in Kyle Kuzma? Like,
not Jason Tatum value, I can tell you that.
Well, somebody forgot to tell Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the Lakers have been shopping around, a Kyle Kuzma and a pick deal. There's even been rumors that they offered Kuzma and Cantavius to a couple of teams for some picks. So, I think they're definitely trying to move them. I think the problem is that everybody knows that the Lakers, want to get rid of him, so the Lakers don't have leverage, and they've done a poor job getting Kyle Kuzma developed to a point where he can bring consistent value every night. So I think he's viewed as a project a little bit as well, like as someone that you still have to kind of give those trash minutes to, and understand he's not going to be great for a little while.
Now, Ace and I generally, Ace, the listener on this show, who is currently banned from, I don't think I told this story.
What happened?
Ace is banned. YouTube blocked Ace. He's in timeout.
Really?
Yeah, like he's
so
not.
How does this? I know we've gone over this before, but I just want everybody to understand that we're not blocking people or whatever. So how does it work?
No. So if you comment and you like curse or if you say something afoul of the,
I don't give a baker's fuck.
Yeah, if you say something afoul of the terms of service of YouTube, they will filter that comment. If you get crazy, and Ace went on an F-bomb MF-er tear yesterday, and so he apparently got blocked.
Here's what's going to happen, Tonto.
He apparently got blocked from YouTube. So now he's taken to the... And by the way, everybody that sends me disappearing messages, screw you. Like, I hate that so much. Because now, by the way, I don't remember what he said, but Ace essentially said, there's been more cock on this show the last 2 days and he talked about relations with his wife. Mm-hmm.
People are misinterpreting what I'm saying.
Yeah, Grokok is somebody's name. You cannot make that up.
Yeah.
Anyway. But Ace, I appreciate the thoughts of the comment that there has been more cock talk on this show the last 2 days. Anyway.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Gabe Levely says, wait, Grokok is back, and did you say we have a Dick Wingett in here? Richard Wingett. Dick Wingett. I like it. Way to go,
Well
Gabe.
done, Gabe.
I like it.
Well done, my friend.
Red Heart Norvis, I agree that it's wrong to let Conley go, but it also is not right to keep him at 20+ million.
Yeah.
There is some Japanese writing, and it says 3+ love.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we appreciate that.
Did we cross 1,500 yet?
I don't think so. James Knight says, give me a rack attack on the safe return of Grocock, Jake.
Okay, let me.
He wants his.
Here.
The rack attack! There it
There you
is.
go.
We are at $14.99.
Come on, people, get it done.
Wow, so we picked up
Get
like
it done.
20.
Yeah, we did.
16. We picked up a lot of subscribers the last day.
Well, when Grocock comes back, people show up. You know.
Yeah, the ladies turn out for Grocock.
Yeah, we get it.
Anyway, the point is, we're going to give this Xbox away as soon as we get to 1,500, so we'll probably announce it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I cannot see. Again, Bradley said, "See you, boo boo."
Who the fuck is that guy?
I don't know, and your comment got filtered. On cue, YouTube, appreciate that. Once and for all on point guards, because I think this is an important discussion in the draft.
Yeah.
I think that point guards are going to be one of the most important positions in free agency this year. And if you think about the names that are out there, the Knicks, the Bulls, the Heat, the Mavericks, the Pelicans, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Jazz, every good team in the West needs a point guard and some contenders in the East as well. And then you think about some of the names, Kyle Lowry, Mike Conley, Chris Paul certainly is out there. You look at the fact that Eric Bledsoe already got dealt. I think that you are seeing that you're going to have significant movement in that market. And I think really the Phoenix Suns are one of the most important teams in that, because let's not also forget DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges are going to get paid. That's a huge discussion. Devin Booker has about $130 million remaining on his deal. And you're looking at paying Chris Paul $44 million next season for a player option.
Yeah.
I think Lonzo Ball is going to be the point guard that's going to be the tipping point in the point guard market. I think Lonzo Ball is a guy that I put a ton of value on. One, simply because it's hard to find a guy that will go back to the lab every single day and change his jump shot and then shoot a high percentage afterward.
Yeah.
I look at what Lonzo did, and I think it speaks volumes about his want to. I look at the fact that Zion Williamson runs things in New Orleans, and Zion has made it pretty clear he wants Lonzo Ball back. Does that mean Lonzo stays? I don't know. He's a restricted free agent. But the Pelicans have pretty much made it be known, if he's the guy that gets that $25, $30 million offer sheet from the Chicago Bulls, who Lonzo has said he'd like to play for, if the Bulls hand him a $30 million sheet, he's gone. He's not going back to New Orleans. He's available is what that's telling you.
And if he gets 30, I mean, what are these other guys going to get?
Well, and this is why I think this is an important conversation for Dennis Schroeder. What if Dennis Schroeder is the first point guard to sign a deal?
Mm-hmm.
And that deal's $29 million.
Yeah.
What do the Jazz do? Because they're screwed. I mean, if you think about this in the parlance and in the framework of talking about bringing Mike Conley back, think about it this way. If a guy like a Dennis Schroeder gets a $30 million deal, well, now Lonzo Ball, who is twice the point guard that Dennis Schroeder is, different style, by the way, but I'd rather have Lonzo Ball all day. What does that do to Lonzo Ball's value?
Up.
$35 million. Well, what does that do to Kyle Lowry's value with a ring?
Up.
What does that do to Mike Conley's value? Well, it probably prices him out of the Jazz's ability to re-sign him.
What does that do to Reggie Jackson?
Who made $1 million last year to play for the Clippers. Reggie Jackson, who arguably was the central figure in knocking the Utah Jazz out of the playoffs, made $1 million last year. That's what they paid him. And they begged him to come out of retirement to do it.
And now he's definitely going to get paid.
I mean, this is why I'm saying, would everybody like to have Mike Conley back for the Jazz? Sure. And I'd like to be retired and a multi-billionaire.
Yeah, you know what Mike Conley is? Mike Conley is a new car that you shouldn't buy. Isn't that what Mike Conley is?
Yes, I would agree.
Mike Conley's the guy. Mike Conley's the car that you want to get because you love the car, right? But at the same time, we both know that monthly car payment is going to kick your ass month after month for like 5 years. And so Mike Conley is not somebody that they should bring back. It has nothing to do with the on the floor stuff. I mean, yes, the injury conversation is always going to be there with him, but at the end of the day, it's just math. I mean, at the end of the day, I just don't think that unless, again, this is a huge caveat, unless he just wants to come back to Utah and this is where he wants to be, which is not the case. This is not what we've seen in the offseason based on what his wife is posting about on Instagram, based on the fact that we haven't seen the, hey, I can't wait to come back to Utah, or I'm going to try to come back kind of post or media presence. We haven't seen any of that. The common belief is Mike Conley is going to test the market. Mike Conley is going to see what he can get.
But why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree. At his age and at where he's at in his career, why would you not? Why would you not try to get, the bag once again? I mean, I know this is definitely under the radar, and I don't know how many people saw this. Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals just signed a 5-year deal at his age.
A crazy amount.
5 years at his age. That tells you just how willing teams are to pay for quality position. So that's what I'm saying with Mike Conley. He's going to get paid, and that's why I just don't think that this whole narrative about should they or shouldn't he, that's not what we're talking about.
No.
It's is he willing to come back at a reasonable number?
Will he?
Yeah.
Red Heart Nervous says, Mr. Growcock, I have a friend named Suck Deep. You should meet.
I want it.
The Japanese writer. That's your name, because I can't read Japanese, even though I have the symbol for courage and strength on my arm. It says Cavs and the number 30 for Kevin Love. So trade the number 30 pick to the Cavs for Kevin Love.
No.
Problem is, I think Kevin Love is making a crazy amount of money, yo.
Yeah.
Kevin Love wouldn't be bad. I mean, he's always hurt. I mean, that's really the issue, right? Is that Kevin Love doesn't play.
I want everybody to understand that your ideas aren't bad, but I want you to understand
They're not good.
How the reason all these ideas won't work is because of the decisions Dennis Lindsay made with these contracts.
Sorry, I looked up Kevin Love's contract and I threw up in my mouth a little bit.
I'll drop that motherfucker.
$31.2 million.
Bro.
Nah, I'm fine.
Bro.
Oh my God.
No, I'm good.
Oh my God. I'll take Larry Nance at $11 million though. Like, are you kidding? No, man. I ain't doing that. Block Rush says, I really like Luka Garza at 30. Corey Growcock says, boys. I play 2K all the time. Love Park. Also love Fortnite and Rocket League. The Xbox looks good.
Okay.
So Corey Growcock is now openly lobbying to be the one who gets the Xbox Series S.
Well, at the end of the day, I don't think we can just hand it to somebody, but,
I mean, we could put it to the vote of the people, but
I put it. Hey, if the people in the comments want Growcock to get the Xbox, we'll print the label in like 5 minutes. It's fine. We'll do
if
it.
10 people comment just the word Growcock right now, 10 people
In the comments,
just write the word Growcock. Grocock. If you
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Michael Burton, the first one in to type the word Growcock.
What's an erection?
9 more to go. If we get 9 more Growcocks in the
get
comment,
the Growcock train going.
8 more to go.
Let's go.
Jello Parachi says Growcock. Growcock says, come on, boys. 8 more to go. If we get 10 Growcocks,
Yeah.
it's his. Dane Cowan says, as Growcock goes and makes 10 accounts win.
There you go.
Exactly right. 7 to go. John
Let's
Doe.
go.
John Doe. 7 Growcocks left. There you go. We'll see.
Wow.
If not, we'll pull a name tomorrow morning. and I would think. I would hope that we would pick up 1 subscriber in the next 24 hours. We average about 10.
Yeah.
We average about 10. So Richard Dick Wingit says, Big D here. Please tell me who you replace Conley with. Come on, boys. Austin Lewis says, don't do it. Gabe Ledley says, grow cock. 6 to go. The thing is that I don't, replacing Mike Conley is not as simple as, hey, let's just plug in another point guard. My whole theory, and if I were Ryan Smith, here's what I would do. I would suffer this year. You're going to make the playoffs. I would keep, and this is just me, I would keep Rudy, Don, and Bogey. That's my three. Everybody else is out. I would trade Conley. I would trade Jingles. I'd trade Favors. I would keep Elijah Hughes. He would be my guy. I would absolutely use those four guys, and then let's figure it out.
So with Conley, though, in terms of, are you, because right now he's not on their books.
I would
right?
not bring him back.
Okay.
I would not bring him back.
Yeah.
Because a year from now, I want ultimate salary cap flexibility so that I can move on. And to answer your question directly, I'd have those four as my core, and I would round this roster out because as long as you have Don, Rudy, and Bogey, you're going to make the playoffs.
I think you need to add somebody a point guard. Like, the reason that we both like Lonzo so much is not because of the hype around him or anything like that. If you go on YouTube and you just search like Lonzo Ball highlights, you will see that he's somebody who really likes to push the pace. And oftentimes, if you go back, obviously all of our shows are posted on the channel. If you go back to when the Jazz were playing, I believe we talked about a lot in the Grizzlies series. When the Jazz play with a lot of pace and they get up the floor quickly, it often leads to the bogey three in the corner or these wide open looks for this team. And so the problem is with when Mike went out, the team really slowed down its pace on offense. That's why I like Lonzo. The problem is, again, as we were just alluding to, Lonzo's price is going to be really high.
Really
so
high.
So it's candies and nuts if you're going to let Mike walk and then you go and sign Lonzo.
Yes.
I mean, it is an improvement in my opinion, but at the end of the day, that still doesn't help your cap. So I just don't think that, again, this year is the year to be going out and making major signings like that. I think the situation you're in is you see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is cap flexibility next year, and you've got a couple of these hurdles you just got to get over and a couple of these tough choices. And if they do that, I'm telling you, I agree. If they make these tough decisions now, okay, then I can agree they're in a position to win 3 in like 6-7 years.
Yeah, and I think that's why I would say as far as point guard and how you address that, I would be perfectly fine with an Austin Rivers level player for one season. Because I think then you're going to have some ability to make free agent decisions. I think you will have acquired draft assets that you can either pick with or trade. I just think you have to, if you're the Jazz, you have to suffer in the short term to thrive in the long term.
Yes.
And that's something that teams like the Golden State Warriors have figured out. That's things like, I look at, again, I point to teams that have won, like the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks did it the right way. They drafted and were pragmatic in trades and development. That's who you need to be. You have not drafted well, and you have not historically developed well. Yeah. That all has to change now. And if a guy like Elijah Hughes can step in there and play meaningful wing minutes, that solves a lot of problems for you because you're not athletic enough on the wing, which is a problem that you're going to have to solve. I think if you look at some of the free agents who are out there, I think those solutions are out there in the short term. But I would go find a point guard that wants to be on a playoff team, and those guys are out there. And I think you wind up splitting your mid-level and using some cap space that you created by making deals with those guys on the roster.
Yeah.
So that's how I would handle it. That's just my opinion. Mike Conley is that old Camaro with custom paint. He is. You love it, and you don't want to give it up because you had it as a kid, but eventually the transmission goes out.
Yeah.
You just can't keep relying on old broken down players, especially not if it's going to take $50 million. Again, and I feel like we ask this question every day, what's too much for Mike Conley? 2-year deal, total value of a 2-year deal.
Low 30s. It's too much.
I would say $30 million over 2 years, guaranteed, is as far as I'm willing to go.
Yeah, with where they're at with their cap.
That's it.
But I think realistically, his value, is 20 to 25 million a year. And again, that's with the caveat of none of these other guys are getting ridiculous contracts, which we both know is going to happen. I mean, somebody every single year gets a contract that's way over what they're actually worth.
Yeah, Biscuit on Twitter wants to know why do you hate Mike Conley so much? What did he ever do to you or your dog?
We don't hate Mike Conley, Brody. We don't. I mean, we don't. We don't hate Mike. We just are.
That's
we're
funny.
realistic about the cap.
Listen, you have a very small window in time here with Gobert and Donovan. They're both healthy. They're both probably not at their. Hopefully, they're both not at their peak or their ceiling.
No, Donovan has more for sure.
Donovan for sure. I just don't know what Rudy's capable of offensively. He's not going to get a lot of development because he's in the Olympics for France, so he's going to be in that system for a long time. It's not that I hate Mike Conley. I just think that the Jazz have to do better. That's the problem, I guess. I think Jazz fans don't value the Jazz at the level that Laker fans do. The Laker fans expect to have the best players all the time. You look at these teams around the league that win consistently, they expect to win consistently, and it's a massive issue when you don't. The Jazz fans don't expect to have the best players, and they don't expect to compete for a championship every year. And it's largely because you got lulled into, oh man, we're good. This is you got lulled into reading the local paper and listening to a lot of the local pundits. Oh, this team's good. This team's good. They're great. Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
they're not. They're not. They're a great regular season team.
And everybody said we were crazy.
And everybody said we're haters and we're clickbaiting. I'm telling you, if you listen to this show, we'll tell you when they're ready to go. Every time the Jazz make a move, it's going to be talked about right here on this show. And I'm telling you right now, if you bring this team back intact, including Mike Conley, you're not going to compete for a championship. Because the Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, the Blazers, I would think the Blazers are going to make some changes here. I'm telling you right now,
Buddy Hield's going to be going somewhere.
this conference is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton says the Jazz were great. We didn't get to see the full healthy Jazz team in the playoffs. Well, part of the problem is you have players who can't stay healthy. You're relying on older players, Mike Conley and Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles was frankly out of gas.
Yeah. I mean, health is a big factor in competing for a championship. It always has been and always will be.
Yeah. Notice you don't blame Joe Ingles for playing in the Olympics the way you do other players. Why?
We have not today.
But no, listen. I don't blame Joe Ingles for playing in the Olympics. Why? Because Joe Ingles is in the twilight of his career. If he doesn't play for Team Australia now, when will he? When's he going to get another opportunity to do that? But I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Where are we at on Grocott count?
We are stuck at 4.
Okay.
He needs 6 more.
Okay. Well, just don't steal the election here, Grocott. Get your votes
easy.
legit.
Why? Dick Wingett says you have 3 years of Don. You can't waste one day of them. Totally agree.
Exactly.
You can't sign Lonzo. Hey, I have a good one. Watch some basketball. Okay. Well, we're not saying that the Jazz should sign Lonzo Ball. I don't think anybody, neither one of us have said that.
Here's the classic. You guys don't watch basketball guy.
Yeah. The way that Lonzo Ball relates to the Utah Jazz is he's likely going to be the guy that's going to set the monetary market for point guards. Because he is going to sign an offer sheet the first 5 seconds it's available. I guarantee you it's drawn up already.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball knows exactly what offer sheet he's going to sign and how much it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's how this whole process plays out.
Very
I hope
simple.
everyone understands that. Come Monday, all these deals are already done. They're just going to be official on Monday.
Yeah, I think that's what you're waiting for with the Jazz. The Jazz are not going to be in the Lonzo Ball market.
No.
My point is, the Jazz are not going to be in the Kyle Lowry market, the Chris Paul market. They're going to be in one market, and it is Mike Conley. And the question is, how much is it going to cost to be in that market? Are they going to offer him a hometown discount, or are they throwing a home run at him?
Yeah.
My guess is it's home run instead of hometown. Those other point guards will set like Kyle Lowry talking about how he'll accept a sign and trade at a minimum of $25 million per season.
Yeah.
Shocking and terrifying if you're a Jazz fan.
Yep.
Because if this Jazz team pays Mike Conley 2 years and $50 million, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're screwed. It's over.